This next activity, we're going to look at Vincent Van Gogh's Sunflowers again, which we have just done, but where we have just done collage, this time we're going to do something completely different. So we're going to use a printmaking and stamping technique, and when you print make and stamp the way that we're about to do it, it can be quite meditative and it's going to be quite relaxing. For this activity, we're going to use the following items. We're going to use Plasticine, we're going to use the washable paint pads, we're going to use the colour apps, and we need a few things that we can stamp into the Plasticine. So whatever you can find around the art room, buttons, popsicles, we can use our combs again, tools, pens, anything that makes a mark. I like to work on square paper, and the reason why I've chosen square paper again is because of the symmetry of the flower. I'm not going to draw a flower. If a student is struggling and they want to draw a flower, by all means let them do a light grey-lead line. But basically you're looking at a round shape in the middle and petals going out. So we've got our paper. First of all, we need our Plasticine. So we open it up, and students will need a little chunk each, and we're going to roll it into a ball. Now, after you've rolled it into a ball, you need to just push it a little bit into a stamp so it's flat, and now you can press something into it so it's indented. So I'm going to try this tool and I'm going to do some lines. Okay, I'm not going to know what it looks like until I make a stamp. I'm going to start with a yellow pad, and I don't think the colour matters too much. It's more about the shape and it's more about pattern. And pattern is repeating. So here we go. And I can change the colour. There's no rules really. This is a very experimental class. Ooh. So you're printing, and you know, as you're printing, you're sort of playing. Oh, that makes a nice mark. And the repetition is the pattern. And the pattern's dying, so I'm going to roll it up again. Okay, so one of the things the students need to be mindful of is that they are making a centre of a flower, so they need to make sure the centre is round. And now I'm going to swap to a sort of ovally shaped stamp. So I'm going to just sort of press that in first. And I really like using the popsicle stick, so I'm going to just do some lines. The colour, I'm going to change the colour. I might go to green. Okay, so repetition. And I like that a lot. So I might see if I can get a few more stamps out of this. I can. Now the students are going to have so much fun exploring what patterns they can make in the Plasticine. So you can re-roll it. I'm actually going to stick with this pattern because I want it to be symmetrical, because that's the way I work. But the students, they can do whatever they want. But I am going to outline my flower in the same pattern stamp. Now, what year would I teach this to? Do you know what? The lower, the middle, the upper, I think a lot of the classes work for all the age groups. It's just changing your expectation of the outcomes. I would have this as a lower, but I know right now the upper kids would love it too. Okay, so we're going to move on to colour apps. So these are fantastic. Now, I let some kids loose with these the other day and they were stamping them and they were splattering everywhere. They got quite violent. So it is good to just maybe explain to the students that they don't need to go slam, which took me a while to work out to say. And you can just push them. And they're made for pushing. So the background is going to be these push pens. And again, this is pattern because it's repetition. And a lot of children think, when you talk about pattern to the students, you'll find that they think pattern has to occur in a straight line. And I show them pictures of pattern, and when I show pattern like this, where it's all random, they don't think it's pattern. They think pattern is square, circle, because that's what they're taught. And pattern does not have to be in a straight line, and it can be random as long as it's repeated. Okay, so what happens with light and dark colours and going over the top of colours, and is there an order that you should use the colours? I don't think so. I use the colours in any order, and I find as you do more and the colours start to overlay, you get different tones of the colours, which is really beautiful. And I know that the students at my school love these. That. Voila. Voila. That's awesome. That is awesome. How could you not think that's awesome? Look at that. I love it. This is a lower level activity, but that doesn't mean it can't be extended into a higher end activity. Sometimes when I'm talking to the students at the end of the year, the grade 5s and 6s, I say to them, what would you like to do? What have you missed out on? And they often say, oh, we want to do finger painting, we want to do a prep activity. Sometimes activities can be done at any age, and all that happens is you get different outcomes, or you can extend it, and that's what we're going to do now. So this is the activity. They've made their own stamps, they've done repetition and pattern, and there's colour. We're doing an upper level class now. We're going to give them a black pastel, and we're not going to show them anything. They're allowed to do whatever they want. Don't give them any ideas and see what they do by themselves. So you just give them the black pastel and say, now draw into and finish your work and see what happens. Now I'm going to do what I think, and what I think is probably completely different to what the other students think. Some will copy each other, some will be original, but it will be interesting to see what each individual does, and that's art's about individuality and creativity. So this is what I would do. I would automatically start outlining the flower. And then as I'm doing it, I'm actually enjoying the sweeping movements. Would I do more? I quite like that. I think I'll leave it. I don't want to do more for the sake of doing more. But just coming to display now, when you hang up your displays and your artwork, you don't want them all to look exactly the same. And that's what's going to make it stand out, that little bit of individuality. And you could introduce different colours. I like the black. You can make up your own rules and have a play with the kids.